So I'm going to do a different example now, something I do more as an exercise, and I've done it so many times it's kind of reflexive. It means I don't have to think as much right now. But I'm going to ask it to build a name normalizer. So this thing,
Okay.
a name normalizer function, given a Western name. For example, let's do Kyle and Hodgson. Is that right?
It is.
It should return. What's your middle name, Kyle?
David.
Kyle David Hodgson. David. Okay, it should return Hodgson David H. Okay, anything else? Oh, I need to say, okay, in JavaScript.
Do you mean Hodgson Kyle D? Maybe?
Oh, you know what? I already botched it. And I think this is why this is important. Once you start putting examples in front of people, first off, they're going to spot when you're doing something dumb.
Programming 101, for sure. Keep going.
Yeah. So I'm going to do this to make sure it's clear. And I'm just going to say in JavaScript again. And I think immediately kind of see the problem here, which is what it produces by default is this basically top to bottom procedural nonsense. Oh, look what it's trying to do. It's trying to help me. It's going to hallucinate. You're going to want to be able to start talking and negotiating with it to say, let's try extracting that and focusing on that smaller piece of behavior and seeing what we can do there. We can add some tests. I can give you some examples of how that should work and so on. So might be a negotiation. And to fix things here, we have to basically create tests. So we'll come and see that in a moment. But the other side of the coin is we want to give it some semblance of a style. So you can do that. I mean, this is what I learned 2 years ago in ChatGPT. You can certainly create your own custom coding assistant with its own rules. So for example, I basically say I have a thing called JS Jeff, which is my set of guidelines for JavaScript. And I realized you don't want to give it too much. The more you give it, the more it's going to forget.
Absolutely. Yep.
So yeah, let's just keep things simple. And this is formatting style, who cares? But the core thing boils down to a very, very small set of things. Okay, so the hypothesis is if you give it a functional style, it will have higher compliance in the code.
Yeah.
In other words, it gives it a higher opportunity to get the code correct. Again, we're going to do this a second time. And we're going to do it the Caxt way, which is also built into the SID 6.7 assistant. So there we go. And then we're going to add one. Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to do this first.
Okay.
And then I will add the examples.
Okay.
So I'm curious what it's going to do because I don't normally do this. So Caxt means generate tests and code at the same time.
Right.
I've told SID to basically generate tests when it generates code. So we'll see if it gives me tests or not. Oh, look, it gave me examples.
Yeah.
Interesting. Those aren't far. So let's see. That's not bad. It definitely separated basically formatting from the logic little bit that's involved here. And it did write some tests. Look at that. Okay, great.
Well, and I just noticed even the examples, I mean, those appear to be logically valid statements. They're almost more like behavioral tests than they are just plain examples. Like previously we were getting that sort of like comment, this is what it's going to spit out. So yeah, already an improvement.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and change this and tell it, look, I forgot to give you the example. So we do have stuff like, hey, empty string should resolve to empty string.
Okay.
Plato is a mononym. Actually, and so I'm going to start naming these because what it will also do is it will use that name as a basis for the test name. And most of the time it is, empty string basically returns same. So we have a mononym. And this is the silly little standard kind of style in which I express these and give it a description, a colon, and then some arrows. So then we can do duonym. Okay, so if a mononym is one name, a duonym is two. Let's go Langr, Jeff. And then we can start saying things like, okay, it initializes a middle name. So that's your example. So Kyle David Hodgson. Hodgson, David.
Kyle D.
Kyle David. Kyle D. Wow. Multiple initializes multiple middle names.
Okay, yeah.
John,
was it, John?
Jacob. I realize this was hyphenated, but I don't want to use that one because it's going to have
That's so long.
all the same initials. So,
Yeah. Oh, true.
John,
Was it
Alpha,
Quincy Public
Beta.
Savior or something? Oh, there you go. There we go.
So,
That works.
I have these on a list somewhere, but I didn't
Yeah.
bring the list. So let's
Yeah.
go. Let's go. Alpha, beta, zeta. We'll go
Okay.
to zeta, comma John A dot B dot.
Okay.
Append suffixes. Oh, wait. Does not initialize single letter middle name. Know any of those?
Single letter middle names? Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Well, there's stories behind this. It was kind of a mistake on the birth certificate kind of thing.
Okay.
But Harry S. had only one letter in his middle name, U.S. President, and as such, we don't want to put an initial after it.
Oh.
And then I'll do one or two more. Throws when name contains more than one comma.
Okay.
Actually, this one kind of precedes the other one. Sorry.
More
Or
than
should
one
come
comma?
after it.
Okay.
We need suffixes. Supports
Yeah.
a
Right.
conventional
The third senior.
suffixes identified by a comma. Martin Luther King Jr. Okay, so this would be goes to, what do we think? King,
Yep.
Martin, L dot, and then you put that at the end again.
Yeah.
And then, so if I do Jeff, comma, John, comma, Langr, this should throw error, whatever.
Okay.
Okay, so that's my examples. And to me, honestly, this is where people should spend more effort, I think, is pinning down how do we distill the requirement into all of the cases which would vet whether or not we've fully implemented that requirement. The front of everything in this whole process with AADV, let's figure out what we're building first. This is horrifying. That's not what I asked for. But let's at least vet the test first.
Done this example enough times, you know why it's horrifying. You're going to have to
The
walk
code
us
is
through.
awful. I mean, look at this. It's just line after line of implementation detail, and
it
I don't
does-
know what each one of these is doing.
Fair enough.
So this is just ugly. So we'll have to correct it. I'm going to put it in the source file that we're going to use to actually try this out. So those are the examples. You should be able to see those in there. And my immediate job before worrying about the code is to take a look and compare the examples I provided with the test. And what you'll notice is that the names of the tests are pretty darn close to what I provided in the examples. So return same for empty string, and then I look at the actual example, return same for mononym, formats a duonym, initializes middle name, uses your name, and so on. So these are very close, not quite a mirror, because you'll notice a few little tweaks that it makes throughout.
Yeah. You didn't say return same or mononym. It like pulled that in from your previous example. It creatively named things in a way which is intelligible. Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of like that, but as mentioned, it totally botched this. So let's see. Are you kidding? Sid67 is sarcastic with me, so I get to do the same. The implementation is a horrid stepwise affair. Try again. The tests are good. Don't regen. Okay. Oh, it didn't. Oh, I told it to give me terse response when it came to code. It usually gives me a little smarty pants response. This looks like code I could live with.
That's better, yeah.
I mean, you
Broken
see,
into some smaller pieces for sure.
right?
Yeah, this is much better.
If I want to understand what this function does, I should be able to very quickly look at this and say, yep, that's kind of the algorithm, or at least this one, the one it chose. Formatting a name based off of splitting the suffix off of it. If I need to look at any of these, I can kind of glance at them and say, yeah, that kind of looks like it would be the right thing. I'm not going to take the time to fully vet it. But at least it's code I can quickly scan and say, yep, this looks like it might actually pass the test, or it doesn't even pass the sniff test. And
Yeah.
I'll get code like that. So
This is much better. Instead of one giant method, I mean, we've got each is a method now, which is a little bit more understandable in terms of its length. Yeah, much better.
yeah, much better. So we're going to try it now. I mean, now that we've vetted the test and got it to produce actually somewhat sensible code, then I hit copy here. And so let's paste that. There we go. And so now, I'm just going to get rid of the import. And the normalized name is the function up here. So I can very quickly now run the test and see if I've got full compliance. I do have 8 tests passing, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I've been doing this example for many years in TDD classes and so on, and then I chose it as pretty much the example going forward with the LLMs, partly because it had tended to get it wrong quite a bit 2 years ago. The suffix thing involves maintaining state. So that's one of the things I think I've noticed, that if you're going to get a compliance failure from the LLM, it's in tracking the state over the body of a longer function or across multiple methods or whatever you happen to be dealing with. It just seems to be where it'll create defects for you in the code.
Okay.
So that's why, I mean, to me, that was kind of a hint that maybe giving it more guidelines toward a functional solution would going to help out quite a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is wonderful. It actually passed the first time. I don't ever trust tests that never fail. But with some of this stuff, I mean, I've been doing it
Part of me wants to like break them, and then like make sure that they actually return red, just for a second.
So, I mean, and there are, I would suggest, if you have any doubts, certainly run the coverage tools for one, because they will let you know if it's adding more code. Break things. Try to break some tests and see if that generates test failures, which it should. And if it doesn't, you've got a problem there.
That's cool.
But yeah, this is CACS. This is AI assisted development with verification.
I want to kind of think about the parts for a minute. So some of the parts is like a how, right? Like a how do we approach things, a process, if you will. A technique is a better word than a process here. It's a technique. Part of this is also like what you fed into SID 6.7, which is, your essentially ChatGPT plus your metadata file. And in that metadata file, there's some simple rules about how it should proceed.
I think so. This is what I would call the CACS part of things. The CACS part of things, the cycle, the test or outcome-driven approach is maybe a better way to call this.
Okay.
But that's the technique. For me, this AADV was a notion of let's separate the bigger ideal here from the mechanics of how do we play this out with an LLM. AADV is, okay, how does this fit in the context of real software development, like real folks are doing? So first off, I have built stuff. I built a plugin for IntelliJ IDEA, so that would have been Java.
Okay.
And I got, I think 70% worth of the code base I generated this way, and it worked just great. It did pretty good jobs with I chose Swing GUIs because I hadn't touched a Java GUI in eons. It seems like it worked fine. It was able to generate all the GUI code. I was in my head designing this thing such that I separated things properly, and I was able to generate any kind of a code module, just went wholesale, and I got great results from that. And that was still 2 years ago, and it was generating some really sophisticated regex and so on, and getting it right, which was amazing. Passed the test right off the bat. I would say again, I think the goal right now, or the numbers kind of suggest that most of these LLMs are going to produce maybe 80% compliance. I would think I was approaching closer to 85, 90. So it's certainly the approach I was taking was giving me
an edge,
perceptibly better results, which is cool.
Okay. So to your point, this IDEA plugin was something where you got to start with AADV from the start and build it up into something sizable and complicated.
Correct.
Got it.
The core part of the effort was giving it a GUI for the example, so you could manage examples, delete them, add them, temporarily disable them, and so on.
Right.
And then injecting the code as well as ingesting the code. So all that, that's predominantly where that was. And then I realized I really don't want to get in this business, because then you've got to do it for WebStorm.
Sure.
Not WebStorm.
VS
Visual
Code
Studio
and
Code, VS
everything
Code,
else.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got to
Well,
support multiple languages
yeah.
and so on and so on.
Yeah.
It's like, nah,
Well,
not
I
something
love
wanna
that
do.
you built a plugin to support AADV using AADV as the technique. So bootstrapping from the start. It's a great way to do it. But I also feel where you're coming from. Like that sounds like a small business that isn't very profitable and also takes a lot of your time. So yeah, like maybe not finish it.